The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of its host, guests, and callers that are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the STARS program, Seniors Taking Active Roles in Society, with your host, Anita Finley. Your comments and questions are welcome during today's broadcast. Call us toll-free at 888-721-0074. That's 888-721-0074. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are going to absolutely have a spectacular show this morning. Of course, starting off is our wonderful friend. Of course, you've heard him before, but that's Darwin Porter. He's calling in from Staten Island. So good morning, Darwin. Hello, Darwin. Oh, I don't have him.
Up here.
Oh, here you are.
It is the coolest summer in the history of New York. The air conditioning people are going out of business.
So you're not going to have much summer, you think?
Thank God. I mean, I haven't turned on the air conditioner once, and people are even early in the morning wearing sweaters. Very strange happening up here. But it's wonderful. It's wonderful, you know.
We know that there's some global weather changes, right?
Oh, the world. We're becoming the rainforest in the Northeast. But, you know, and then the rest of the country so much is having this, like poor California, you know.
Oh.
Drought, forest fire. But enough for all that. I really have several things to talk to you about this morning. And as you know, I like to keep up with what's going on in the book reviews and the movie reviews in American newspapers. And the one person, I call it the Hillary Book Wars. It's amazing what's happening and about to happen in the Hillary Book Wars. And, of course, I'm talking about Madam Clinton, who has been making a nationwide tour selling her latest book, Hard Choices, which are about her tenure as the Secretary of State. But then along comes her nemesis, a writer named Edward Klein, and he knocked her off the top of the bestseller list, and with I would say now the most controversial book in America, which is called Blood Feud: The Clintons versus the Obamas. And it is, I think it proves one thing. Americans are far more interested in gossip about the Clintons and the Obamas than they are in about Hillary's time visiting 112 countries.
So my question is it true, do you think?
Well, there are things that I think are true in the Klein book. Now, Klein became well known. He did 4 books on the Kennedys, particularly Jackie, his latest being Farewell, Jackie, which was about the last year of her life. And I don't think he likes me because I've just done what to me was one of my most successful books on Jackie Kennedy. So I think he thinks I was moving in on his territory. But Mrs. Kennedy belongs to the world. And Klein has written 2 other books. He wrote a very controversial book called The Amateur, Barack Obama in the White House. And then he wrote, I thought, a little rather vicious book called The Truth About Hillary. But in this one, he makes many revelations, and he claims he had inside sources, but he can't name them. As a reporter, I learned you use an anonymous source. Sometimes you have to do that because you won't get information any other way. But most of his book is filled with very inside information going on. Let me give you an example of some things. I don't know how he proves this. He says Hillary and Bill have not slept together in 20 years. Now, that would be hard to prove, wouldn't it?
It sure would. It sure would.
Unless you... And the one thing that struck me as very odd, Hillary took a real beating in an interview when she started out the tour, she said that she and Bill Clinton were dead broke when they left the White House. And she's really, in fact, just even in the morning papers, she's still being hit upon by that. Well, they were $15 million in debt. I don't know. I might have called that, instead of dead broke, dead.
True.
She's also been criticized for her speaking engagements, where she averages $200,000 a speaking fee. I did some research on that, and that's more. Here's what I came up with.
Okay, well, it seems like we've there's been maybe the cool winds on Staten Island shut the phone down, but we'll get back to. Here he comes.
100,000 to 150, and Dick Cheney. I used to call it Dick Cheney, but he's corrected everybody. Dick Cheney, former vice president, gets 75 now, and Sarah Palin gets 75. Now, oddly enough, Chelsea Clinton now gets 75. Mitt Romney is at the bottom of the list. He gets 40,000. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that. But certainly with the Clintons, a lot of that, I think the stories are not fully complete. A lot of that, the Clintons donate to their charity foundation, so that's actually laudable. And but she's taking a beating on that. Well, now the Clintons are no longer dirt poor. They paid off all those attorneys' fees, and now they have at least $200 million in the bank. So she got out of debt.
$200 million, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they've been pulling in quite a lot. Just for example, but the emergence of Chelsea it has surprised me a bit. NBC last year paid her $600,000 salary as a special correspondent. That's pretty good money in media.
But it didn't last, I don't think, did it?
No, but she had a good year. Now, the thing that is coming through, in a way, America knows this already. The Obamas and the Clinton camps do not like each other. Klein has gone into the support charge that the real power in the White House today is Valerie Jarrett, his special assistant, with her staff of 40, who is conniving, is the word, with Michelle Obama. And they are actually in the power control, and that Jarrett is now plotting as soon as Obama leaves the White House to maybe have Michelle Obama, who's very popular with Americans, unlike her husband, run for the Senate from Illinois, maybe a 2-term, and then that she should seek the presidency herself. And so it's the question of who will take over control of the Democratic Party, the Clintons or the Obamas. Which is not surprising if there's animosity there. Of course, we found that out in 2008. Eleanor Roosevelt detested John F. Kennedy, and Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter were never friends. Just because you're in the same political party, you don't have to like each other.
See, that was going to be my next question. Is this just actually a repeat of history, that this happens all the time?
Oh, yes, all the time. I mean, on the opposite side of the fence, the Republicans are engaged in their own blood feuds, but it's all in the game. But now, what I think what is making the Edward Klein book so successful is he's giving you an inside look into things. Now, whether it's true or not, we don't know. But the point is, he's going to make $2 or $3 million by exposing some things about what he alleges is going on in the White House. He more or less has Jared and Michelle really controlling the show, and he suggests that Michelle and Obama don't really like each other. And they try to take separate vacations. We learned the little tantalizing bit, which I already knew, they sleep in separate bedrooms. But what makes his book so personal and interesting, and it's an easy read, is almost suggests, why would anyone want to sleep with Obama? He snores until you can hear it to the Washington Monument. He eats potato chips in bed and junk food like greasy McDonald's hamburgers. But see, I think people like to hear things like that. It personalizes the man in many ways.
Darwin Porter, I have to tell you something. Anyway, everybody should know that Darwin Porter is a celebrity writer. You can read all his incredible stories. They're all unique, and they're in Boomer Times every month. But he's calling in from Staten Island, and we're talking about a lot of things, It's interesting to talk to Darwin because he has written so many books about so many famous people. And I just want to tell you something, Darwin. I happen to like Obama. Barack Obama. I think he has suffered so much in this government and what's happened around the world, and I really like him. And so all this stuff, and I'm just going to say that on the air, I think he's a very wonderful president, and I'd challenge anybody to take that presidency on and do anything better. So, I mean, I like the man. And so, see, I think that what they're doing, and Michelle's fine, and I haven't really concentrated on her, but I know that you eventually will do something very interesting, but you'll do it correctly. I don't know who this man is. I like Hillary Clinton very much. I like Bill Clinton very much. So I'm not a person who attacks people. I try to see the good in them, I
agree with you. I would take a very different approach because I think that the real story of Bill and Hillary has never really been told, and I'm talking about from a very personal level because they have had many, many challenges. If I had to fault Hillary at all in her book, she wrote living history about her life in the White House as First Lady. And I think the one thing missing from that book was her relationship with her husband. I'd like to have heard a lot more of the challenges she faced with her, shall we say, marriage to a man with a roving eye. Is that a delicate way to put it?
No, that's a good thing, but maybe it's because she is running.
The Hard Choices, which I have just finished, I'd like to know more about her relationship with Barack Obama, because she came from the, quote, his enemy camp into his inner circle, and that I think she expressed it when we first came together after a brutal campaign. It was like two awkward teenagers on our first date, and I found that amusing. And Hillary traveled to 112 countries, which meant she was in a jet plane. Now, as you know, for 50 years, I was a world traveler for the Frommer Guides, and I visited all those countries. But what she did in 4 years took me 50 years to do, and I was very interested in her impressions of these places, which were very different from mine, because what you see as a Secretary of State, she was treated like a visiting empress, and I wasn't treated that way, and I saw the really rough, sometimes very shadowy side of a great deal of the world. The world out there is not, there's great beauty in the world, but it's not a pretty place, and horrible things are going on.
That's a good point, Darwin. Yeah, you bring up a very good point about what she was saying.
As opposed to my perspective. But now there is more. When I talked about the Hillary book wars, there's a very controversial book coming out that's making headlines in the East, and I think it'll be in California soon. On August 19th, a book by Lucinda Morgenthau. Now, she was the wife of Robert Morgenthau, who was the Manhattan Attorney General. And what's giving her the headlines now, she's claiming that Virginia Kelly, who was the mother of Bill Clinton, abused him as a child, and that led to his life of promiscuity. Now, if this were Edward Klein, I might be more suspicious, but the Morgenthal's are were a very, very respected couple, and she claimed that she, on an assignment for Tina Brown, interviewed Hillary at the time of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, and this element in her story was dropped at the time because it was almost too much of an overload. But that's a very, very controversial charge, and some papers are giving it their main headline that he was abused by his mother, who was a colorful. I just read her book. She wrote a book before her death. Obviously, she wrote a book before her death, and she was a fantastic creature. But Mrs. Morgenthau stands by her charge of the abuse, and frankly, nothing about Obama and the Hillary, the White House, the Bush White House shocked me. But this headline surprised me a bit because I'd never heard such an accusation before.
Darwin, when you said abused, Darwin,
Hillary is still alive, and so it's not that someone is writing something about someone who is dead, and Lucinda stands by her story.
Darwin,
I tend to believe her, because she has an impeccable record, as did her husband.
Well, Darwin, my question is, what do you mean by abuse?
You've never heard that before, had you?
No.
Can you hear me?
No. Well, I can hear you fine, but I don't think you can hear me.
I'm going to call you right back.
Okay, call me back. This is always so great, these stories, and I love when Darwin is on our show. Let me tell you why he's going to call us back. Let me tell you the rest of the people who will be here. Ted LaLiberty, CEO of Boomer's Work, which you will love this organization. Might be just right for you if you're looking for work. And then Bill Finley, my husband's going to be on from 6 to 6:30. And then we're going to hear Jeff Smith, who is going to be on, the marketing director of Safe Drive Systems, and Dr. Andy Mencia will be in here. And then Dr. Bill Leone will be in here at 7:30. So we have a lot of things to have you listen to, and I'm so excited about it. And now Darwin's coming back. So Darwin, are you here now?
Oh, I wandered off to heaven.
No, but I have to tell you, we heard everything. It's just when I went to talk to you, you didn't hear me. But let me ask you.
I said something that offended you.
No, it was great. Something was wrong with the phones. But let me ask you this question: when you say abused, does that mean physically or mentally?
Well, the suggestion was a physical, but I'll tell you, she sort of skirted the edges on that. But because the fact that it was suggested sexual, because it led to his period of sexual promiscuity. Whereas if it had been mental, it could have been something, if she many of us have had mothers who tormented her, including those Tennessee Williams used to write about. And they're two different things, of course. But the suggestion, the way it's being played out, is sexually suggestive. But again, we're waiting for the book. And on top of everything else, some Secret Service people are writing a book about first family detail, and more tantalizing things are coming up. It turns out that Joe Biden, who might challenge Hillary for the president, has a little secret pastime that we didn't know about. He likes to walk around in the nude and hang out by his swimming pool and go swimming in the nude. And this is said to upset some members of his Secret Service, female members of his Secret Service. So this book is coming out. But again, the thing that is really selling, I specialize in it. The world loves gossip, and they love to hear about the what goes on behind the scenes with the rich and powerful. In one book that Klein did, which again, these things are known by others too, is that Bill Clinton has had affairs with several actresses, and but I understand that Michelle she has spies in the Obama camp, and on his visits to California, I understand that several actresses have sort of flirted with Obama, but so far apparently nothing has really happened there, although it's been long rumored that he has a crush on Scarlett Johansson, but so do millions of other men, and but nothing like the John F. Kennedy days, where he has had I think he was the all-time scorekeeper, particularly with movie actresses. He specializes in those. And I don't mean just Marilyn Monroe, but, the list is long. And so the one thing that is emerging is that Clinton has spies in the White House, and I mean both Clintons. And I understand Michelle has her spies in watching Obama, and he has his spies watching Michelle. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that all these people have other people reporting to them on what's going on the other side of the camp. And also the Kennedys originally, such as Ted Kennedy, right before he died, and Carolyn Kennedy and Ethel Kennedy, through their support behind Obama. And now, normally that might have alienated them from the Clintons, but the Clintons have been very smart. They have kept their contacts open with the Kennedys, and they're very friendly with them. There was a report that Ethel Kennedy expected to be invited to the White House and received after her support, and then the Obamas have just shunned her. She's the matriarch of the Kennedy clan, and she went into a fit one time, allegedly, and started throwing things and turning over furniture in her house. I find that a little bit hard to imagine, but I assume that anything is possible. And as you know, Obama sent Carolyn off to Tokyo as the ambassador. The one thing that is receiving a lot of attention is the feud between the Obamas and Oprah Winfrey. Now, as you know, Oprah used her great power of influence. She can sell a book. I mean, she's very influential, and she really backed Obama and got a lot of support. And up to then, she'd been fairly neutral. And the understanding, I think, was that she would have a pipeline to the White House. And Klein explores the jealousy between Michelle and Oprah. And
Oprah, that's what it was. It was the jealousy.
And so she has refused to. She refused the second time around to become an advocate of Obama. But then Hillary and Bill have been very, very smart. They invite Oprah to lunches. They send her birthday presents. So they're keeping the doorway to Oprah open. And now the question, sometimes when I'm asked, will Hillary run for president? Well, I think we have to take the position, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. The answer is yes. I think she definitely will. And then it's going to be a question, will Obama support her? There's some talk that he might want to sit it out a little bit. So that's going to be the big news that we'll be watching in the months ahead. But anyway, I'm sort of enjoying. I hate to admit it, but I'm sort of enjoying reading all these books and reading. I have a ton of newspaper stories, and they are so wide-ranging in opinions. I think you see how diverse this country is by reading all these Hillary and Obama stories and the reaction to the books. We are in such a divided country that it makes fascination. A lot of people just watch MSNBC because the country is filled with political junkies.
Well, yes, and thank you, Darwin. I really do appreciate your, your being on with us this morning. It was just absolutely wonderful, and you've always put it the right way, and I'm so happy that you take the time to do this. So now we're going to go to our next show, and that's Ted La Liberté. This is something different.